The age-old question, who am I? A talk with Unmani.
I'd like to speak a little bit about this age-old question, who am I? Right? The most fundamental spiritual question that even before we come to the spiritual path, if we are curious or if we are in a time of our lives that we're questioning what's going on, we start to ask this question in some form. And there aren't really answers, essentially. I mean, we can have many answers. We can have many stories. I'm this kind of person. I have these qualities. This is my personality. These are my failings or my achievements. These are my wounds. This is me. This is my trauma, makes me who I am. You know, these kind of stories that we tend to believe, at least temporarily, that this is me. And of course, on the spiritual path, especially when we come to non-duality, and we start asking this question really seriously, and we can start to see through and let go of a lot of our stories of me or our beliefs about who we think we are. Yeah, but what I notice through life experience is that even if we don't consciously decide to ask this question of who am I, life brings up situations, changes, losses, tragedies, maybe even sudden achievements, or changes in a positive way, which make us question naturally, who am I now? So, for example, in losing a loved one, this naturally makes us question, well, who am I now without that person in my life? Who am I now in relationship to that person? Without, in relationship to the absence of that person. And we get reinvented without even trying to be reinvented. Life naturally, in some way, at certain points in our lives, kind of kicks us out of our comfort zones. And we are having to, whether we like it or not, having to discover a new version, a new story of me. And if we can see that all of these stories are not who I really am, that I'm never any story of me, then when these circumstances happen, which rock the boat and change our lives, then we can more easily go with the flow of this reinvention that happens each time. It may be bumpy, it may be a big challenge, or it may be very joyful, maybe even a relief, a sense of freedom, as we are reinvented. But it can also include loss, this mourning, this grieving over who we were, a letting go of the story of me, of who I once was, as we mature into a new phase. And we cannot move on to something fresh and new without going through some kind of letting go or grieving over who we were. Even if who we were was restricted and painful, still it perhaps was some kind of comfort zone. And so even if the new version is refreshing and feels more free, and it has perhaps a sense of knowing that this is right, still we have to let go of what we knew, of who we thought we were, which was a safe knowing, or at least thinking that we know. There's a sense of safety in a story that we think is true. Like, this is me. Okay, now I can relax. And when that is shaken, the whole body, the whole system, the emotions, the thoughts, the physical sensations, energetically, it's all in a big upheaval. And the mind can circle, trying to understand, trying to grasp some kind of sense of security once more, trying to explain what happened or what is happening, what will happen from now. How will I cope? How will I live? Who am I now? And this is all a very natural process, I feel, that happens every time there's big change that happens in our lives. And although it's uncomfortable, change often is good, whether we like it or not, or feel that it's good at the time. It is about a process of maturing. And life is all about letting go. You know, that's just the way it is. We don't find it easy, but it is about loving and letting go, or enjoying and letting go, or even suffering and letting go, as everything slips through our fingers. There's nothing we can hold on to. And this is very confronting as we are forced to see this, to meet this reality, that we cannot hold on to anything. Whether it is our aging bodies, we cannot hold on to our youth, we cannot hold on to our loved ones. We can enjoy them and make the most of our time together now, but they are slipping through our fingers in each moment. We cannot hold on to our life circumstances, whatever they are, because they're also changing. Any sense of security is bound to be shaken at some point. And as we really meet this reality, it can bring up all kinds of fears or other feelings, grief, loss. And we meet those feelings too. And all the time knowing that I am not limited to these stories or to these things or to these people or these feelings. I am that is aware of it all. And that I am doesn't change. It doesn't move. It is always still, unchanging. When everything changes, as we lose everything and everyone, there is the knowing of it all. And there's no real comfort in this knowing, not in the way that we would hope there to be. It's not that there's something to grasp in this knowing that we can say, okay, at least that I have to hold on to. No, you can't hold on to it, because the one who is trying to hold on to that is another story of me that is looking for safety and security. And that one too, we have to let go of. But this knowing, it is always here. It knows every loss, every change, every story of me that comes and goes, every sensation. It knows the whole wild roller coaster of life and death and everything in between. And this is who you are, always. And there, nothing is lost. And yet it can't be held onto. And yet, paradoxically, it can't be lost. It can't be remembered, and it can't be forgotten. Because it's you, who you really are.